Welcome to Rise Over Run. This is Piers Dormeyer. Today here with Pat Nussbeck from the infamous Aspen Contracting. Needs no introduction. You're in KC, right? You're in Missouri,
Yes.
Lee's Summit.
Yep.
So thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for spending some of your afternoon here.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
I'm sure you haven't had any Zoom meetings or conference calls or anything all day, so.
None whatsoever. I think this is the fifth one just today.
It's a new. Don't you love it when people say it's the new normal?
Yeah, I'm like, no, I want to get inside a room and actually talk to somebody face to face and, see how that goes.
Yeah. Well, hey, the way I love to start this out is just, tell me a little bit about, where you're from, how did you get into this carnival ride?
Yeah, definitely is a crazy business for sure. So born and raised in Kansas City. This is where Aspen's national headquarters is in Kansas City. Did a lot of traveling in my teens and late 20s, travel out chasing hailstorms and, had wife and kids, and they decided that I better stick around a little bit more at home, even though I seem to travel just as much these days. But how I got started, I'm in between school, between high school and college, I was, someone offered a job to deliver shingles to the roofs. And so roof load. And I was like, you're going to pay me this much money to put shingles up on top of roofs. And so, at that time I was working out, I was going to college to play sports. And so I'm like, this is going to be easy. And so, I had no problems. People were, throwing up on the side of the truck, having a hard time in the middle of summer. I'm like, we're done, and I got paid good money. And so did that for a summer and went to college. And, the next summer rolled around and, my oldest brother said, hey, what are you going to do this summer? And I'm like, I don't know, probably go back and load some roofs. I've got to work out anyways for sports. So I'll do that. And he said, well, I got an opportunity. Why don't you be a material runner? I'm like, I run material right now. What do you mean? He goes, no, you sales guys, they don't order enough. They order too long. They need to pick up, do that. And I said, all right, no problem. I can do that. Seems pretty easy. I'm like, this is what I got paid throwing roofs. He goes, oh, you'll make more money doing that. I'm like, okay, this is
People don't realize what humping a bundle of shingles is all about.
Yeah. I always
it's real.
Yeah, I give people crap because we put all of our materials on the ground and our roofers load everything up for safety, from the ground. And, the sales reps will be like, oh man, they took forever. I'm like, you just pick up one of those bundles. And if you can make it to the ladder, then you can start talking a little bit, let alone walk all the way up the ladder.
I'm telling you, I had back when I worked for Elk and I was a young Elkling, if you will, part of their training program was, we went down to, it was in the Ennis plant area down there heading towards, Waxahachie. And it was like, hey guys, you're going to put on a roof and, go expense yourself some boots and plan on humping, 30 squares worth of shingles up a ladder. I'm sitting here thinking like 22 or 23 years old. It's going to be no big deal. It's like 10 bundles later. You're like, this sucks, man. Like I went to college, it's just like, don't care.
Yeah, no. And, shingles used to be a lot heavier than they are today. And so people pick it up and right now and they're like, oh, I can do it. I'm like, man, those things used to weigh 300 pounds a square. You're happy to get 220 pounds a square out of a regular laminate these days.
Dude, these were 40 pound, or I'm sorry, 40 year, right? So they were a good 100 pounds a bundle. It was aggressive. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to run materials. I was going to make more money than, loading roofs. And it was right after a storm hit. And so there's zero production going on. So I get there and, what do I do? And he says, well, start making up these yard signs. Okay, well, 30 minutes and a couple hundred made up. All right, what do I got to do now? And, I think he just wanted me to get out of his hair so he could go get the sales force selling. And he's like, go knock on some doors and see if you can get any appointments. I'm like, okay, appointments for what? This is how green I am to the storm world. He goes, you're going to tell people that you're going to look at the roof for hail damage. And if they are, you'll help them file a claim. I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem. So go out for a day. The evening I get back and he's like, how'd you do? And I'm like, I did all right. I got 22 appointments. He goes, 2 appointments all day is good. I said, no, I got 22. He was like, okay, so this is what we're going to start doing tomorrow. You're not a material runner anymore. I'm like, okay. He goes, you're a salesman. I'm like, okay, what does that do? He goes, oh, you're going to sell and you're going to make a lot more money. All right, that sounds good. And so that's kind of how I got into, selling roofs of things. And, that was interesting, travel around, did different storms for a couple of years. And I just did it in between summer, between college. And so just did it for 3 months,
Okay, so I got to stop you here. I got a question. Because I know something about what that was like back then, because it's a little bit different than it is today, maybe a little bit.
Right.
What was your first storm? Where was it?
Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha. Okay. And what were you playing back in college?
Football.
Football. Okay. So you're living the storm life and still trying to stay in football shape for the off season. So that's got to be pretty interesting.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, how do I get off, 15 beers a day, in time for coach and
yeah. Oh yeah. The good thing is you didn't have Zoom meetings back then for your workouts for college, and so it was just all handwritten. Sure. Oh, I did my wind sprints today. I lifted for this so long for it, and so you could get away with it a little bit on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, and so I mean, I did that for the college, the summers for a couple of years until I graduated college, and had I actually had money as a college kid, which is, after my first year of doing it, which that never is the case before that with any other kid. And, got out of college, had a truck paid off, had some money in the pocket, had career actually what I thought I was going to do. It's pretty funny. I got out of college and my brother said, hey, what do you think about, managing some salespeople? And I looked at him and said, listen here, I will never manage anybody ever. I'm going to sell the rest of my life. So you got to watch what you say, right?
Yeah. How many employees do you have now?
300.
Yeah. Okay.
300. Dude.
It's all about setting goals. Yeah.
Yeah. All about setting goals. Yeah. 300 do $80-90 million a year. I mean, no big deal. Never going to manage anybody or anything. Don't want to do that. But yeah, you got to watch what you say because it's going to come back to haunt you when you say never on something.
That's right.
So ran around, did some storms for a couple of years on that, and, got engaged, bought a house. Wife said we probably need to traveling, and I was done with the traveling thing for a while. So actually just quit and said, I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. So come back to Kansas City, wasn't even looking for a job, was going to get, married in a couple of weeks. And the old ABC national account rep, I'm going to outdate myself for a second, Eric Larson, that's how old it is, said, hey, I heard, I've seen you been around the different offices that you worked in. Hey, you want to, come in for an interview? I'm like, sure, I'll come in and, figure out what you got going on. And, obviously the pay was phenomenal. And so, and I wasn't even looking for a job. And so I said, all right, I'll try this out, but, I just let you guys know I can only work for a week and then I need 2 weeks off. I'm getting married and I'm going on a honeymoon. And, most jobs would be like, yeah, this isn't going to work. But I did end up, going and working there for a week and taking 2 weeks off. And I don't think people at the branch, they thought the kid came in for a week and then was like, yeah, this job sucks. And then showed back up.
He came back.
Thank you. We need him.
That's awesome.
So worked at ABC for about a year and got some great experience around there. Got to see the distribution side, which has helped out tremendously. And, about after a year, my brother, had broken off from, the godfather of hailstorms, Marty Haight, and said, hey, I want to start a roofing company. And said, okay. So he had to actually sit me and the wife down because she has worked with my brother before and been in the offices before and said, how's this going to work? And it was like, all right, well, he's going to go try and run the operations. I'm going to go recruit, and then, we'll see what we go from there. And so, and so we started going. And I mean, when we started, in September of 2006, we didn't even put on a roof for 60 days or even try to put on a roof. So actually worked out pretty well from there. And so now we are today.
Yeah, that's had to be an interesting conversation with the wife. But hey, shout out to LC. I think it's your brother's birthday, isn't it?
It is his birthday today. I'm not going to say how old he is because I'm younger than it. And I'll show how old I am.
Happy birthday, LC. What's up? No, I saw it pop up earlier today, and I reached out to him. So talk about the old days. Going back to that, the days, the Marty Haight, like Godfather days, when you would have, fights breaking out over yard signs and contingency contracts in neighborhoods. Does that still happen, or is that all sat down a little bit?
There isn't fist fights anymore. Yeah. I remember Omaha, the first one that I said I worked at it was about a week into it. And, I get a call saying, hey, get over here. We're fighting another company. I'm like, fist fighting? I'm like, okay, I'm a 19-year-old punk kid. I'm game. I'm coming over and get there. Cops are everywhere. And they're like, yeah, we're not fighting anymore. So there's not fist fights anymore, but there is definitely yard sign stealing. There's a yard sign in the yard. That's an invitation to go knock on a door and see if the property owner really wants to go with that company or go with somebody else. There's a lot of phone calls back and forth and threats. Sometimes they get legal, sometimes they don't. But it's more done, I guess, professionally now rather than
so much more professional.
Yeah, so much more professional than getting out your knuckles and start fighting each other.
I wonder what the lifespan of a yard sign is in a heavy storm market. Like Oklahoma City gets hit, that yard sign lasts like 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah, if that. Yeah, changes names inside that one property probably within a week 20 times.
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. So that one of the things that I was I was thinking about when before we got on here was that getting someone like you experienced it, where it's, hey, it's enough is enough. I'm getting married. I'm not going to go and just, hey, it's going to be Reading, be there in a week. You know what I mean? And moving across the country and setting up like that. It's got to be a major challenge to find people you trust to go and start up offices in cities 1,000 miles away. I mean, how do you find those people?
Yeah, it is difficult. Because there is a lot of money forked out for those, individual offices, people, travel, housing, everything that goes into it. And so, you've got to look for hardworking people. That's why I tell everybody, I'm not looking so much for your background. If you got a degree in college, yes, no, but how hard do you work? And look for a lot of people who have played sports, whether if they got through high school and went further or not. Sports gets people into kind of a regimen of a certain routine you got to get to, and and usually those people are, the sports addicts are trying to be the most successful at what they're doing. And so, someone's wanting to be on top of things, that's usually what look for, but you can't take away someone's work ethic. Someone has a good work ethic, that's what it is. And, it's trial and tribulation. Sales reps every year say, hey, I want to be a manager. And I say, all right, I'm going to tell you, if this doesn't work, I'll let you go back being a salesman. And there's no problem with that. It's happened quite a bit before because not everyone's cut out for this. And they're like, well, they make the big money. Well, you think they make the big money. They have a lot of headaches, a lot of things that they've got to deal with. And usually you're going to hate everyone around you for about 6 months, because of the stress and everything that you got to go through. And you're not even realizing you're being that big of a pain in the butt to people, and you're, making everybody mad around you, but it's going to happen. So sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
And they're thinking the entire time, I remember hearing this guy say how he never wanted to manage anybody.
100%.
Yeah. And that's this is going to be weaponized and used against you, Pat, for sure.
Oh, 100%. And that's what I tell people. I mean, life changes for people,
Yeah.
mentalities changes for people. You can't say never to anything, on it, because it's always going to come back to bite you. And, right now, yeah, I'd love to go back and being a sales rep right now. That'd be awesome. Because, when I was selling, I'd say way back when, I'm going to make myself feel old, to sell $1.5 million. I mean, the contracts were like $7,000. So I had to sell 150 jobs to sell $1 million. And now our guys sell 50, 60 to sell $1 million. And I'm like, you don't even know what selling is. I had to hand draw all my roofs for one too. And I sucked at measuring. Good thing we got Eagle View now, because that helps out guys tremendously. A funny story about measuring roofs. So first year, my brother teaches me one time how to sell a roof. And then I was off to the races by myself. It was no help, no nothing. And he says, all right, so this is the deal. You don't have to measure any roofs. The adjusters measure them for you. I said, oh, okay, cool. And so about the 15th job into it. So Marty at this time is running production. He's in charge of everything and running production. As an assistant, does everything. And he calls and he's like, do you not know how to measure a roof? I'm not your personal runner. I'm like, well, I was told I didn't have to measure a roof. He goes, who told you that? I'm like, well, of course my brother did. He taught me how to sell. And all I hear is click. And then 10 minutes later, like, hey, if you got anything you need to run, just call me. That's my brother saying that to me. And I'm like, fair enough. This didn't go very well as I thought it would.
I remember the early days of Eagle View. We're talking years ago now, that before people knew who we were or kind of trusted us, and we were kind of going through that whole, here's how we do it and here's why you should give us a shot, and kind of building credibility. Luckily, we're not in that stage anymore. But I remember going down and seeing Marty, and I'm like, Marty, your volume's down. He's like, he told me, he said, Pierce, you made all my salesmen stupid. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like nobody knows how to measure a roof anymore. And that's why I'm pausing for a while so that they all remember the basics. You said it in some kind of, South Texas kind of way. And I'm sitting here thinking, I don't know how to come back from that. I mean, that's might be a compliment kind of way, but I'm not going to fight the guy. So just sort of went with it. Just, it all worked out in the end, but it's the real thing.
Oh yeah. When he wasn't happy about something, he'd let you know in that Texas swing. Like I said, it was perfect. I'm not your personal runner.
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. So the business has changed, but you guys have done a great job of diversifying. You're still chasing storms and that stuff, but you're doing a whole lot of other things too, right?
Yeah, so about 75% of our business is made up of storms, and that's our bread and butter, and we know how to work that. But the other half, 25% is split up between retail, commercial, and new construction. And when March all happened, and everything kind of paused for a week or two while everyone figured out what was going on, new construction still had to go. So I mean, I never thought I'd say how happy I was to have new construction at that time, because it's such a huge moneymaker for everybody all around, manufacturers, suppliers, roofers, everybody. But no, we've had to diversify ourselves, which is good. It, helps, spread out, the, ebb and flow of the business throughout the entire year instead of trying to cram everything we do in 6-month period on it.
Do you find that the volume is kind of offset, or do you run into that issue where you're trying to decide if you're going to put labor on a restoration job or a new construction job? Are you able to kind of manage that pretty well?
Yeah, we're able to manage that very well. So, I mean, the re-roof guys can't go to a new construction. I mean, they just don't know it. And the new construction guys don't have trailers to even go to the re-roof side. So it's completely different set of crews that are on it, and on the commercial side, I mean, you got to have, 20, 30, 40 guys up there at a given time, be able to work with each other, unlike a regular residential crew, 6 or 7 that can get along and no one else can be around them, or else, it's anarchy on the job. So it's kind of separated out all the different ones that are on there. So, we have some overlap, but very little of it.
It's almost a separate company inside of a company. I mean, there's so different disciplines and businesses.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we essentially think, as we go through, different sales meetings and different meetings that we have, we talk about our three different sets of business: new construction, commercial, and storm work, because they are run three completely separate ways, from selling to building to collecting to lead generation. Everything's completely different.
Yeah, well, you've been through the ups and downs in this business, and you touch a lot of different aspects of it. Where are you guys going from here? What's next for Aspen?
What's next for trying to keep up with the times? It's ever changing. Take away even COVID and everything that does with that. It's ever changing with technology, with new ways, with property owners getting savvy, looking into different things, and, installation and what new materials are out there, and how insurance companies are going, and MRPs and how those work, and, new construction and commercial, and how safety and everything needs to be associated with that. So it's continuing to, grow. Growth isn't always about numbers, although we like numbers, but it's a growth of people having experience inside the company, growing product knowledge, growing installation knowledge, growing best practices of things. Like this year, we've been able to, cut down the amount of time for our AR by 8 days compared to last year. And last year we set a record of how fast we were able to collect money. And so it's, hey, how do we grow each side, whether it be production, collection, sales? We're always going to try and continue to build our sales and, grow that. I don't think I could ever stay stagnant at one different thing of it. We're trying to get into different things. We actually put on a couple of Tesla roofs before they, just announced last week that they weren't doing those anymore. That was interesting and fun.
What was that experience like? I don't know if I should answer that question actually, but whatever.
Tesla, they're a big company. They do great. I heard they're making great profits on their automobile side. The roofing side, they probably need a little bit of help on.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool looking system for sure.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Well, yeah, I think some of us that were, that kind of know the business, we're kind of looking at this one. I'm like, wonder how that one's gonna come across. But yeah. There's a market out there for everybody, right?
There is.
What do you see as the next big trend, next big thing in the roofing business, technology or otherwise?
I think technology is going to continue to evolve more and more. I see, eventually, safety is continuing to be at the forefront of everything. And, OSHA is eventually going to say you can't inspect a roof without fall protection. I mean, whether that's a year from now, 10 years from now, sometime they're going to say that. And so, technology is going to come up where you can, fly a drone or take photos or take your guys' system and see whether or not there's hail damage or not, and use that technology. So one, you get the interpretation of the roofing company saying that's damaged or not damaged, insurance company saying that's damaged or not damaged. It's an actual third party that says these are the standards, because, actual standards of what hail damage is. We had 100 roofing contractors on today. They all say something different on it. And same thing, if we had 100 different insurance companies, they all say something different too. So I see that happening a lot more. And I'll see more of the sales process, how it's face-to-face, even though I don't want it to go away. I feel like that's going to go away from people. People are going to get online and they're going to pick their shingle colors from whatever site that you have. It's going to be like you go to Domino's, you're going to build your entire pizza, and, pizza's going to show up at your door. You're going to go online, someone's going to come out and inspect your roof, say you have damage, insurance company's going to pay for it. Next thing you know, materials are there, roof's going on, they say, here's the bill. So I really see that with technology pushing forward. I love the sales process. I just hate that it may get away from that being face to face with people.
Yeah. And because of the nature of the business and the fact that you're going to have to eventually get in front of that homeowner, you're still going to need that relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, especially a business like yours, you don't want to just sell them a roof one time. I mean, you want to sell them their roof for as long as they own that home, and hopefully wherever they move and you work. And then you want all the referral business and everything else. So I kind of feel like it's going to be investing in that project manager. Even if they did buy the roof virtually, it's not like you can just let you can completely outsource all of your, call it, personality, right?
Right.
You're still going to have to maintain that relationship and have that skill set, regardless of how you get the person to sign on the line that is dotted.
Yeah, I mean, and we do probably on average 700 to 800 roofs a year that are repeat customers, whether it be from hail or wind or older roof, one thing or another. And so we definitely go by that. Want to keep that trend going, and then referrals. I mean, that's our best way of marketing that we have is referrals, because those are the easiest sells as well too.
Well, wild. Well, one thing I love to ask when I have people on here is where do you get your ideas? What do you listen to, and what are you reading? How do you keep the juices flowing? Any recommendations?
So I try, whether it be reading or listening or watching just successful people, whatever it may be, and people inside the industry. I mean, we all don't know it. I mean, I love to hear other roofing contractors, whether they're commercial roofing contractors, retail guys, storm guys, just say how they work in a business, how they sell, how they do their business, because they probably have something I can take from there, or, and, other types of businesses as well too, what they're doing, how they're doing. I'm always trying to, someone who has a business set of mind, trying to either read their books, listen to what they say, watch a podcast of them, do it. I don't like reading very much, so I like to watch more than I do read on there. But it's important to take information from others around you, because none of us know everything, and if we can pick up little bits and pieces from everybody and make it work into our business, then it'll make it grow.
Yeah, that was one of the big reasons why I started doing this in the first place. Is I kept noticing having those conversations with customers, buddies of mine like yourself, that I'm sitting here saying, I mean, if I could create some way, I mean, so hit subscribe, but if I could create some medium where we could do some of that sharing. And what's cool about the podcast thing, and I was not a guy that was into the podcast. I am kind of a bookworm, but what I realized is, when you're mowing the lawn, when you're driving somewhere, whatever, when you're vacuuming your house, you can't be reading a book, right? But you can be listening to something, and even if a couple drops of it sink in, you'll get some value. And now there's just so much out there that it's there's something for everybody. But yeah, very cool. All right, this is the time where I expose your failings as a roofing contractor and general successful human being. So give me something that just went upside down on you, man. Give me a worse story.
Oh boy, there's quite a few over the years. I think we've done just about everything wrong at some point in time before.
And oh, by the way, I need to start putting this disclaimer in there that whatever it is you tell me has to, the statute of limitations, persecution, all that has to have expired, because I don't want to get deposed and dragged into a lawsuit over this project. So
yeah, right, yeah, no doubt. I'll give you it's a horror and a funny one at the same time. Probably about the second year we're in business to Aspen, hailstorm hits over on my mom's house. So, okay, no problem. Go meet the adjuster, get it bought, no problem. See, she has a cedar shake roof, and her HOA mandated to go back with the cedar shake roof. All right, no problem. This is good. We definitely need some revenue, and easy one to do the mom's house. So we do the roof. She has a skylight on the front of her house. And she calls about a month after we're done and say, it's leaking. And I'm like, I'm going to kill you guys, because I told the guys, this house, no matter what, can't leak. My mom's working for us at the time too. So that makes it equally as bad.
Yeah.
I've got a leak. All right, guys, show me a picture. It's right by the skylight. Rip up all the flashing, put ice and water shield on there. Make sure the skylight doesn't leak again. All right. So we go to do that. About 3 weeks later, calls again. Skylight's leaking again. Same spot. I'm like, there's no way. Like, all right, that crew that was on there, you're fired. You're never working for us again. Other crew I bring in, rip off most of the front side of the roof and redo it, and pay attention to the skylight like no other. So, I mean, it's a wood shake roof. This isn't, hey, just some, cheap 3-tab thrown on there real quick. And a roof is, pretty steep for that as well too. And so a couple weeks later, she goes, all right, it leaked again. And I'm like, impossible. It hasn't even rained for a week. So don't tell me it leaked. So I'm like, all right. So I said, all right, guys, get up into the attic. I want you to water test this thing like no other. All right. And I want you to call me as soon as it leaks. I mean, they're over there 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Say, we found the issue. I'm like, wow, you guys are the one who did the roof. You found it that quick from your mess up? No, there's a possum in the attic. I'm like, a possum in the attic? Yeah. And it keeps on. So she had cathedral ceiling, so the skylight was built up, so it kept on running into the wall of the skylight. And then that was how it was doing its nest. So every time, it got into the attic, it was going right by the skylight and going to the bathroom. And it made it look like it was leaking. And so, yeah, we ripped up her roof. I don't know how many times.
Over a possum.
Redid the interior a couple of times as well too, after each time. Yeah, over a possum going inside, the attic that got through her soffit. And yeah, so that was fun, chasing a leak in the mom's house that worked for us for, 2-3 months. And yeah. Mom, write us a glowing review about your roof.
That's awesome. It's like, that's my years worth of profits for doing my mom's house and the possum. It's like, oh yeah. Well, I couldn't send my kid to college that year.
A possum got me.
Gotcha. It's one way to go. Yeah. Good. Cool. So watch out for possums. Check the varmints first. Before you tear off the cedar shakes, right? Awesome. Well, hey man, it's great. Been great having you on. Anything you want to close out with? Talk about your latest philanthropy project.
Yeah. So probably, I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, we started a project, and as we had always given back to the communities in one way or another, sponsoring a softball team or a soccer team or one thing or another. And so we were trying to figure out, how do we make an impact, because, you get a banner at a soccer field, kids soccer field. Okay, great. And kids get a t-shirt, but how can we really, give back to the communities that we're in? And so we came up with the philosophy of, it's called Covers for Others on it. And so what it is anybody that, if they let us do an inspection on their roof, whether they sign with us, don't sign with us, they can nominate somebody to get a free roof. And it doesn't matter, where they are in the country, what their situation is. Maybe they had a hailstorm and didn't have insurance, or they just have an old roof, elderly, military, whatever it may be, nominate somebody for a roof. And then at the end of July, we take those however many nominations we have, and we break it down to 15 or 20 people out there. And then we say, all right, this 15 or 20, everybody in the community, you vote on who you think is most deserving. They write 1 or 2 paragraph of, their story is, why they deserve or need a new roof out there, and the community votes on there. I mean, last year, I think we had like 500,000 voters, which is just unreal. we didn't have as many nominees, which means I guess not as many people needed new roofs. But we had so many votes, it was phenomenal. And then on September 11th, the day that we all can remember, we announced the winners. And over the past 5 years, we've given away 50 free roofs, no questions asked, labor, materials, warranty, full on, everything go with it. This year, we're going to put on 8 to 10 across the country. Just kind of depends on where it is. We've done some non-for-profits. We've done some churches, and it's people in the community just get behind it and start voting on the different ones that we have. But yeah, the awesome. Website's covers for others, and the 4 is the number 4. And nominations are open now until July 31st, and then we'll shrink it down to 15 or 20, and then let the voting begin. And then September 11th, we'll announce the winners and then put the roofs on within 30 days after that, and give them a nice new clean roof with a warranty that's transferable to if they ever try and sell the property.
Wow, that's amazing. That's much larger scale than I thought you were operating. I mean, you got to take a full-time employee just to manage that.
Yes. So our marketing department loves me, around that time of year, because I'm like, what have you done this? What have you done this? And this, that, or the other, because it's a lot of coordination right there, because you have to announce the winner, then you got to go to them, explain to them what's going on, you won, and some people, don't even know they're nominated. Half the time are like, all right, what's the catch? All right, I know my family nominated me. All right, you say you're putting on a free roof. Really, what is that? And so it's, 14 phone calls later. No, it's no questions asked. We're coming out there. You tell us what date's good for you. We're going to bring lunch. We're going to put on a new roof for you. Be done with it, and you have a nice lifetime long warranty on your roof.
Are you picking up interviews from some of the folks that have received the roofs and whatnot? You getting some of that content?
Yeah. It's awesome. All on the Covers for Others website. There's past winners on there. Some people do written referrals. Some of them have done videos on different things. But, great people, great winners. I don't think anybody would ever say that they're not grateful for getting a brand new roof. When the average roof is $14,000, $15,000. Great, deserving people, always appreciative of what we did. And, a lot of times just can't believe, what's going on, because we don't know what we're getting into when we do these roofs. I mean, we had a roof last year, we rip it off. There was 5 layers, cedar shake on the bottom, redeck.
Oh, there's that cedar shake again.
Oh yeah.
Possum patrol.
Oh yeah. Had to sister in rafters, bad fascia board, and so, we committed to it, so we're going to continue. We did it, but, people are like, they're amazed. They're like, oh my gosh, we're sorry. No, you probably didn't know, but you may not have known of it.
Well, at least no one can accuse you of vote rigging or anything like that. I mean, no one would inflict that kind of pain on themselves.
Right, no doubt.
Especially knowing your track record of cedar shakes, right?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, they're just jigging it in. Yeah. Well, hey, I'll actually link to that in the description of the video, but it sounds like an awesome program. Thanks again for coming on. Appreciate it. We'll get this out.
Yeah, no, appreciate you having me on. Appreciate everything that Eagle View does for sure, and that you do for Eagle View.
Yeah, well, thanks. Pat Nussbeck, Aspen Contracting, can be found wherever roofs are sold, almost. Again, Rise Over Run, podcast.com. If you've got any thoughts, you can hit me at peers@riseoverrun.podcast.com. We'll see you next time.